What's up, Trojans? Nothing crazy going on in this game. Just a classic Giants loss, really. Back to that nice 2-8 team instead of the team, kind of looking for the playoffs. Went right back to where we were a month ago. This team did not look good today. Offense couldn't get much going. Defense was actually all right, especially in the first half. I guess same thing with the offense. It was a close game. It was 6-7 going into halftime and all, but I don't know. It's really not much there at all from the offense. They barely got those 6 points. They got lucky getting those 6 points based on how that offense was playing. A couple penalties had to come into play there. And, the defense in the first half was holding up. But, when the team's lagging like that, it's only a matter of time until you get a second half where the defense starts to really give up some points. That's what eventually ended up happening. And the Saints controlled the ball really well. That was, one of the things the Giants defense was taking advantage of the past few weeks. 12 turnovers in 3 weeks. That'll help you get 3 wins. I don't care who your starting quarterback is. It's going to help out a lot. But, no turnovers in this game. Saints controlled the ball well. Full credit to them. They played a great game. Saints were, really came out looking like a good team through and through. Giants, not looking good today compared to the Saints. Real bad game for the Giants. Not much to mention. DeVito kind of went back. I thought he was doing really good, especially in the Packers game. He was getting the ball out quick. He was holding on to the ball a little long. The offensive line did him zero favors, though. But, you kind of go back to, that Washington game. The defense made up for all that by getting 6 turnovers. The offensive line couldn't hold up. DeVito took a bunch of sacks. Real shame. But otherwise, he didn't turn the ball over. That's always good. He definitely missed a good few throws. And, he looks like a guy that came in from the practice squad. Even in his wins, I guess the Packers win was the closest, but he didn't look like the star quarterback or anything. He looked like a guy that could make a couple of nice key throws and not turn the ball over. In the last 3 weeks, that's really what he's been. This game, he kind of did the same thing, but the rest of the team didn't elevate to the level they were around him otherwise, especially that offensive line. I mean, the offensive line got a game ball last week. They do not deserve a game ball this week. Having an offensive line continuously just break down, it hurts all parts of the game, Tommy DeVito doesn't get enough time to find a great receiver. Honestly, the receivers, they could not get open today. The Saints were great in coverage. But the point I was going to make was Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley couldn't get any yards. I feel like all of Saquon's runs were minus a yard or gain of a yard. I don't even know how many yards he actually had, maybe 20. They never decided to use him in the passing game at all, which I feel like they always need to do. The Giants, they never run Barkley to the left side. They barely do any play-action passes. The offense, the offensive line doesn't hold up, but it exposes so many other things when that happens. You go back, I said last week, when the Giants lose, Kafka's terrible at play calling. When the Giants win, Kafka's great at play calling. Well, the Giants lost today, so he was terrible at play calling. That's just how it goes. The offense could not get anything going. Now, I guess I'll say special teams quick. Special teams had issues all day. Our kicker barely made, I don't want to say barely, he did a good job. Our backup kicker, mind you, made a mid-50s, I want to say 56-yard field goal. Really great kick, went right on through. Immediately after, has a hamstring injury. So our punter comes in to kick field goals. And in a very weird drive with a lot of penalties involved and nonsense going on just before the end of the half, the Giants get in field goal position. And the Giants punter makes a field goal. And, the punter was a solid field goal kicker. Not great on kickoff, and he was an okay punter today. So credit to Gillen, the punter there. Then you go over to the defense, and they held it together in the first half, not giving up a ton of points or anything, but the defense did themselves zero favors in that second half. They came out, just gave the Saints all this time of possession, missing key plays, key third downs, giving up a 2nd and 20. How do you do that? just giving up stuff that did not need to be given up. The defense kept themselves out in the field longer than they needed to. And that's how you're going to get how the game ends, where the Giants offense just isn't on the field much. Again, went over that. The Giants offense was not playing great. The offense also did it to themselves by not counteracting the Saints' time of possession with their own time of possession. But, that's just what a bad team does. Everything looks bad. It takes something really amazing on a bad team to be like, okay, well, this is working well. Wide receivers got to be open like every play to be like, all right, that guy's amazing. It's just things aren't working for the Giants in this game. The Saints looked really good, seemed to stop the Giants at every avenue. Giants go to run the ball, Saints are right there. Giants go to pass the ball, blanket coverage. And then the Giants defense tries to do some stuff, and the offensive line picked up everything the Giants were throwing at it. And, receivers were able to make some good plays for the Saints and get things done against this Giants defense. Just a real shame, really, because the Giants, with the last 3 weeks winning 3 in a row, they all of a sudden were in that little graphic, the NFL puts up of teams in the hunt. I don't think that can realistically be the case anymore. I would be shocked, beyond shocked, actually, if the Giants went in the playoffs with 9 losses. I think it's barely statistically possible even, going into the playoffs with a losing record. Not that all these other NFC teams look amazing, but one of them's going to win 2 games, especially the Saints. They look great today. Saints have a solid defense and an offense that can hold up. That's a borderline playoff team at the very least. So, just kind of a boring game to watch as a Giants fan, because you just watch them get slowly taken out by the Saints in the second half, and I don't have much to say. I guess turning to offseason stuff, back in the draft pool, looking at the Giants draft rankings and everything. Giants are still in a pretty solid spot. You'd think winning 3 in a row would knock you out of a really good pick, but that's not the case. Still not rooting for the Giants to lose. Under no circumstances do I want the Eagles to win the division. So if the Giants could knock off the Eagles once, that'd be great. Help Dallas out, sure, whatever, I don't care. I don't want the Eagles to win the division, and it'd be fun if the Giants can be the reason that the Eagles do not win the division. And so if the Giants could do that, that'd be great. And even with that, Giants are still looking at a top 10 pick, most likely. You're thinking 8, 9, somewhere in there. 7 to 9, I think, is where the Giants are right now. If they were to lose out, you get back in the top 5 conversation. If you win, one more game, you're still looking at that 7 to 9 spot, 7 to 10 maybe, depending on how things shake out. It's a really weird spot the Giants are in, where it was like, oh, we're in the hunt for playoffs, and then, you just lose this one game, and now it's like, all right, since playoffs are out of the question, where are we at? Oh, still solid draft pick? All right, good. It was just like 2020, where if, literally, the 2020 season for the Giants ended with, if the Eagles had beat Washington, just Washington the team, they didn't have a real name in 2020. They were a weird team then. They didn't have a name, but they won the division. If the Eagles had won that game, the Giants would have entered the playoffs at 6-10. Since the Eagles decided to do some weird stuff and put in their 9th string quarterback or whatever nonsense they did, even though Hurts was actually playing well, the Giants ended up not making the playoffs and had a very high draft pick. It was the weirdest thing. You go from... it was weird. And then, you have that 2021 draft where the Giants were able to trade back. And, I think that resulted in Kayvon Thibodeau. This time, same scenario. The Giants are looking at playoffs or a top 10 draft pick. I think the Giants pick was technically 11 in that draft, if I'm not mistaken. But, this time, I think... even 6 wins get you top 10. There's so many teams in this spot with the Giants. Saints, Packers, Bears, like the Bears' actual draft pick, not the Bears pick from the Panthers. Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting offseason with that, but Giants are looking at a good draft pick and multiple quarterbacks in the running. I count about 4 at this point. Caleb Williams, who's the favorite to go first overall. You have Drake May, who is a quarterback that looks like a quarterback. He looks like a quarterback. I saw one game of his, and I did not like what I saw, but he does look like an NFL quarterback, his stature and everything. Then you have Jaden Daniels from LSU. That's a mobile guy, puts up great stats. I didn't get a chance to watch a full game of his, but the stats are looking good. And then you have Penix, who has a long injury history, playing for Washington, which is, a team. They're in the playoffs and everything, but I don't know, they're a weird team. So those would be your 4 guys. May or Williams are probably off the table, so you're thinking Daniels or Penix, and of those 2, I'd rather have Daniels, but Daniels will probably, due to his high stats and mobility and everything, I feel like that's the type of guy that will shoot up a draft board. And Penix might be there for the Giants. At the very least, either Daniels or Penix should be within trading distance. You got to think about that as Joe Shane. But otherwise, a lot of good players available. There's some great tackles as always. Obviously, there's Marvin Harrison, but again, that's like a top 3 pick type of thing. I'm thinking like 5 to 10 range with the guys I'm trying to name here. Neighbors, the LSU wide receiver, really good. LSU's produced some great wide receivers as of late, so you got to take a look there. A lot of options. I think there's an edge rusher up there too. I don't know about that. I'd rather see what Thibodeau and Ojulari can do since he's been out there lately, not injured. That's always a bonus when Azeez Ojulari's not injured. Maybe get one other guy, but I don't know. Anything defense, I'd more consider second round, except in the case of a corner. Giants really do need a corner, but I don't think there's a corner worthy of taking top 10, so save that for the second or third round, or free agency even. And that was the Giants game against the Saints. Talked about offseason half the time. In the future, I've compiled a couple PUBG clips, working on getting those together and everything. I play that game all the time, and one new fun clip pops up like every time I play. So I'm like, I gotta add that. Whenever I really feel like uploading that video, I'll sit down for a while and make that. Otherwise, last time I promised I'd have a why the 2022 Giants were amazing video. I got that one, in the queue as well. Just got to record that and everything. I just take these game videos, the post-game videos, as priority. And I like to have a good gap between all my videos. See you guys in the next one. Oh, and not doing the Christmas game. Not a thing. Not even close. Giants will likely lose. I'm just going to assume that's the case. I'll barely be watching that game. I'll be doing stuff. They have to have a game on for Christmas. I'm sure it's the NFL. Everyone wants it on in the background, but it'll be on in the background probably for me, but not paying much attention to it, so I wouldn't be able to do a good post-game